Hi, this is Joe Brzee, CEO and founder of Sprigeo.com, and I have a wonderful guest in front of us today, Dr. Karen Siris. We said we weren't going to say doctor, and I just had to throw it in there, but this is Karen Siris. She's a principal at W.S. Boardman Elementary in Oceanside, which is on Long Island, not far away from the city, as you told us. So, welcome today. You're going to talk about a few things. You have a book that just came out recently. It's the start of the school year. It's October as we're doing this interview right now. There's some things coming up on the calendar that I'd love for you to talk about. And then knowing that we have a lot of school administrators that do watch the videos here in the expert gallery, just some words of guidance I think would be most helpful for folks as they start to consider their bullying prevention strategy or some of the different activities that you've found to be successful at your own school site. So I know that's a mouthful, but welcome and would love to hear about your book. How are you?
Thanks, Joe. It's great to be back with you, live this time, I guess,
Yes.
with the Skype. Um, yes, challenges, administrators who are watching, we all know we are facing incredible challenges in school this year. We're all faced with race to the top expectations. We have new evaluation systems for teachers. We have new Common Core standards. And on top of that, 48 states have either initiated or added a bully prevention law. So in New York State, our law just went into effect in July. And so I'm trying hard not to put this new law on the back burner along with everything else because I was so excited when we actually were getting a bullying prevention law. It was very important to me and the work that I do. I was hoping that it was going to become important in all our schools in New York State and throughout the country. So it's a
Karen,
challenging year this year for all of us.
are you referring to the Dignity for All Students?
Yeah, I'm referring for in New York State, the Dignity Act, which was originally called the Dignity for All Students Act. The name changed along the way because it became the Dignity for all people, for all people. I think they wanted to take the students out of the name, but it is DASA. That's what it was originally called. Passed in New York shortly after some unfortunate events in New Jersey and Massachusetts. The Tyler Clementi suicide, I think, precipitated our bill that was on the books for 10 years to become a law.
Mm-hmm.
The Phoebe Prince incident in Massachusetts, the young girl from Ireland who had come and was harassed by her students, both, of course, ending in suicide. But many of our lobbying groups got busy at that time, and they helped get our laws passed.
So there's some legislation in place. You obviously are there on the front lines at an elementary school level, working in a district with multiple schools. Um, but outside of your role as a principal, administrator at the school site, you're also an author. Tell us about that.
Oh, well, thank you. So for many years, I've been working to eliminate or try to eliminate or prevent bullying in our schools. And what I realized from my research, and I told you in our last interview that I had done my doctoral research over 10 years ago now on bullying and harassment because it was a problem that was very hard for me to solve. I'm still working on it. It's still not solved. Part of what I did with that work was working with kids and having them spread the word with me to other children in the school about how important it is to be a part of the majority of kids who care. And when I had done my research, I sort of had as a backbone of my research work done out of Colorado by Porter and Garrity from a program called Bully Proof Your School. And that's where I learned about a concept called the caring majority. And since then, that's evolved, across our nation to talk about the majority of kids who are bystanders and really turning them into upstanders and becoming the majority and making them the social norm of our school rather than having kids affiliate with children who are unkind.
Mm-hmm.
So the question was about my book. So I joined together over a year ago now with actually a parent from my school who is an allergist, interestingly. And she had written a book before about with a caring message and about kindness. And I said to her, well, why don't we talk to our kids and together write a book about bullying and preventing bullying and how kids can stand up for each other and to speak up and express their feelings. And so with Lisa Roth, who was his parent, we wrote a book about a young boy who is not a child who's disenfranchised. He is a socially accepted child. But he notices there are some children who are not. And so he also notices some kind kids. And he gathers together the kind children to come together and form a caring majority of kids to stand up for the isolated child. And the book has been doing very well, especially I think because bullying has come in the forefront. Bullying prevention is in the forefront. Many of our schools with many new laws coming to pass.
Okay. Give us the title one more time.
So I can show you.
Oh, please.
Be able to see it?
We have the benefit of the visual there. Oh, perfect. Stand up.
Stand Up.
Okay.
And it's written by Lisa Roth and myself, Karen Siris, and illustrated by Marsha Levitin. And it was the concept of the illustrator and my co-author to, instead of showing the children's faces, and if you look, I don't know if you can see, but if you look through the book is, the perspective of the illustrations shows the children from sort of the waist down. And when I've been reading it to kids, I ask them, why do you think this story is only showing the children's feet, so to speak? And they said, well, the book is Stand Up. And we're talking about kids standing up for other children. And some children have said, it's also good because we can then imagine the faces of the children who are unkind and the children who are kind. And I guess they put their own faces of kids that they know into the story. And also, the more sophisticated concept that we thought was that of empathy and the phrase, put yourself in someone else's shoes.
Right. I like
and so that's the reason for the illustrations. And the illustrations really are beautiful. Each is really a work of art in itself with a lot of comprehension possibilities for our kids. Okay. The book also has a teacher's guide with questions that teachers can ask the children based on the Common Core standards with higher level thinking skills. And also it has a parent letter so that if a teacher uses the book in the classroom, they can then send it home with the children so the parents can continue the conversation about being upstanders and thinking about others and giving a caring message to their classmates. So it's been well received in schools.
Sounds fantastic. It's something that, as you said, it's academically sound, but we're dealing with a really challenging issue, that being bullying right now. So as many resources as we can get our hands on and then be able to use in the classroom with kids in places where bullying is happening, what a wonderful resource. Where can folks find your book?
Well, it's on Amazon. You can Google Amazon and go to Amazon and Google Stand Up and put in my name because other things might come up. So if you put in Stand Up and Karen Siris, if you're calling from the school and you want to send a purchase order, you can write to me at Bully Intervention Experts, plural, at gmail.com and let me know what the information you need to send me a purchase order.
Great.
The book retails for $12.99. However, if you send me a purchase order, I discount it to $11.
Sounds like a very fair price for that type of a resource. And it has the teacher's guide, as you mentioned.
It does, and it's helpful. I'm advertising it for grades K to 4. It can stretch a little bit, but it's a great guided reading resource for group work, I'd say at a second grade reading level.
Okay. So we can certainly get that. We'll include a link down below the video so folks can click on it directly on our site and it'll take them to Amazon. And that way they can find it there as well.
That's great. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely. So in your position as an elementary school principal, of course, you alluded to the fact that bullying is a challenge that you're continuing to meet and overcome and working with kids. For administrators across the board, across the U.S. here that would see this, what do you think are some of the strategies that you've used, maybe that you even allude to in the book, that you have found to be most helpful, that you think other folks would benefit from?
Well, really, at the core of any school that has a caring environment is the culture and climate that we set up in school from the moment a child walks into school. So we have to really have teachers that love their job, that care about kids, and that are welcoming to students every single day. Kids have to have a reason to want to come to school, and they have to have an affinity with, hopefully with their classmates, but definitely with our staff and our teachers. Teachers have to respect each other and treat each other with kindness and caring. Um, I talk about teachers holding each other accountable. Um, Holding each other accountable if they see a teacher who might not be feeling great or who might be losing patience during a day, to let that teacher know that they may not be that she or she may not be living up to the expectation of the school, just to make sure everybody's in check. We need our adults to be upstanders in our community, as well as our children to be upstanders. And of course, we need our parents to be on board and to understand that they are their children's role model, and that the way they act in society and in their homes is important for their kids. You know, research tells us that kids who are not treated kindly at home, either by siblings who are overpowered or bullied at home by their siblings or by their parents, or who don't have a warm, caring relationship with their female caretaker usually, will come to school and perhaps have bullying behaviors towards their classmates. So parents need to be aware of that. We also need schools to have interventions that are helpful not only to our socially isolated kids who may not have well-developed social skills, but also for our kids with the bullying behaviors, so that we can help develop empathy in them as well. We also can't be afraid to have our teachers or our administrators speak to our parents when it's necessary for our kids to have outside help. If we don't have enough of a resource in our schools to help our kids who have not developed the compassion that they need in school. You know, in addition, we can't be afraid to let parents know the prognosis for a child who really might be considered a hardcore bully, and there aren't many. But a child who really has a lack of empathy has a prognosis that gives them a much greater chance of having criminal behaviors as an adult, a young adult. So it's our responsibility to help not only our targeted kids, but to help our children with bullying behaviors as well.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like you really are an advocate of creating a culture, not only at the school, among the students and among the teachers, that values kindness, but really trying to bring the parents in as part of a partnership in creating that culture.
Absolutely. We have to. And the biggest challenge there is that we usually speak to the choir. If you have a meeting about bullying or harassment or whatever, those parents usually shy away from coming to those meetings. So we have to find ways, you know, when those kids are acting that way, to insist that our parents come in, and not to act in a threatening way, just to act to them in a caring way, that we want to get their kids on the right track.
Sure.
You know, our teachers